Listen up. As you know, I have just bought this business and I've fired half of the workforce. For those of you that remain, you will need to learn to become hardcore, working long hours at high intensity for the sake of this business.
No, you didn't.
I didn't what?
You haven't fired anyone. You've just started a 30-day consultation process that's required by law. Now you will have to justify why those redundancies are required for the business and satisfy regulators that you are compensating those employees appropriately. If you don't follow that process, the business will face heavy fines and your employees can claim 12 to 18 months of wages as compensation.
You guys are averaging only 38 hours per week at the moment, and that is going to have to increase dramatically to between 50 and 70 hours a week if we're going to streamline this business.
You realize that you can get sentenced to prison time for forcing workers to work more than an average of 48 hours per week in the EU.
So just imagine if Twitter HQ was in a country in Europe where there are actual protections for workers. Would be amazing, would be amazing. There's a lot of truth that can be identified through comedy and expressed in a way that us giving you the news straight up as headlines cannot. But there are some headlines of what's actually going on in the United States. Elon Musk has just been firing Twitter employees who criticize him, which is a terrible reason to fire someone, and in the EU could not happen. So I hope this guy continues making skits and pointing out what's going on in the United States is how it's ridiculous, because it is. The fact that you can be an at-will worker and be fired without any sort of consequence, any sort of advance notice or severance is something that's just not observed in other modern countries. Ben?
I'm moving to the EU as soon as this broadcast is done. I'm packing my stuff up. I'm just gonna take a picture of my background so nobody will know the difference. Yeah, it sounds pretty good to work over there and sounds pretty terrible to work at Twitter these days. It is a chaotic hellscape, known in the past, pre-Elon Musk, for having 280 characters. And now with him there, 281.
Honestly, I think if I were to be a Twitter employee, I would not even be pressed. I'd be like, it's time to go full goblin mode. Like, I no longer care about keeping my job. I'm just gonna mess with Elon as much as possible.
Yeah, why do people retire or quit when places go crazy? Like when everybody would quit the Trump administration because they couldn't stand for what he did. How about keep your position of power and stand up to him? How about usurp his authority in clever, under the radar and on top of the radar ways? I refuse to let this man ruin the country, so I'm gonna let him do it easier. I'm stepping down effective immediately. It doesn't make sense. You're inside the machine. Mess with it a little bit like Omarosa did.
Yeah, literally. You're in the belly of the beast. You have so much more power than we do from the outside, although people have done a very good job trying to take down Twitter, but Elon Musk is still using Twitter to push his political agenda. I mean, his tweets get pushed to my timeline so much, and he's talking about wokeness. He's talking about how Donald Trump should be reinstated. Like, it's all chaos, and it's kind of fun and interesting, but it's also like a billionaire bought the public forum. And now he's firing employees who disagree with him so that he can run it in a way that he wants to. It's very dystopian. So as much as it's funny, it's also scary.
It's an important public square that he purchased so he could be the only voice at it.
Yes.
I'm Elon Musk. Yes. All of my opinions are gold. I will tweet racist things constantly and uninformed things, and then take them down later. Yes, verified. He's not paying the $8, Jessica.
He paid 44 billion instead.
That's a good point. He did overpay slightly.
Yeah, he paid 44 billion.
Good point. He should get the free $8, I guess, if they're gonna stick with that.
He should pay just like everybody else because we're all equals and we all have free speech, right? That's what this is all about. Free speech. Yeah.
I've been forgetting on account of the way he's running it over there.
Yeah.
I thought his voice mattered more. My mistake.
He didn't realize that like activism and people not liking him is also covered under free speech. He didn't plan for that. He thought it just meant adult white men can say whatever they want without consequence.
He balances it out. He lets the right wing speak freely and the left wing doesn't get to speak. And that way it's kind of a balance right in the middle.
Yep, he has free speech and we have the freedom to dislike what he says.
Yep.